And joining me now is Hamilton Mayor Fred Eisenberger. And do we ever have a lot to talk about? Where's the city at with the homeless encampments? I know, speaking with some of the people who were camped out, some of the solutions being offered by the city didn't really work for them.
Yeah, certainly there are some high acuity individuals in our community that are going to be difficult to house. Some of them aren't appropriate for shelters based on their either addiction or mental health issues, or they just aren't able to function in a shelter. So those are the ones that are going to be challenging. But we've been working with the community partners, and I would say most of the ones that were on our public right-of-ways and on our streets have been moved along, and many of them are now in housing. And that's certainly a positive, and we'll continue to work to ensure that we can provide housing for everybody that can be housed in shelters or safe places. The good news on the kind of the housing front is we received some $11.3 million just this last couple of days to help with the homelessness and housing issues. So certainly that'll be an assist to help provide more shelter and housing for people that are in need.
Let's talk about that. Obviously, affordable housing is an issue in most cities, but where will that money go to help? Like, are there vacant buildings that can be renovated to help with the housing numbers?
Well, there are a number of options, and obviously, we also got money from the federal government, and their rapid housing plan really speaks to, modular homes or possibly acquisition of, hotels or motels that are currently not being utilized. So there's a number of options that we can look at and see if we can put into place. The requirements for a lot of this housing money is that it be dealt with within a year. So that really lends itself not so much to a build, because that certainly takes longer than a year. But by the time you get the approvals process done, but some sort of an acquisition or possibly modular home. So we're going to be looking at all those options, but we want to utilize all the money that we're getting to provide as much housing as we can with the resources that we're going to get.
All right, and we learned last week that the city staff suggested a property tax hike of about 4%. Now, despite there being a reserve of close to $1 billion. Can you explain to me why that money can't be used instead of raising taxes?
The reserves are, who knows what the next issue is going to be. We were fortunate, on our budget year that we had the federal and provincial governments pony up significant dollars, some $45 million actually, to help with the budget shortfall that we're going to experience this year, and that'll help us with next year's budget. The 4%, I mean, there's continuing increased costs, increased labor costs, increases in all manner of costs that are happening year to year. So, we could use reserves, but those reserves are, possibly set aside for a possible next issue. And certainly, we don't want to deplete those reserves, because then we don't have any flexibility if some other issue comes along. So it's a balancing act between using some of our reserves to offset some of the expenses we've incurred this year, additional expenses, in fact, and using the federal and provincial dollars to help with our budget up and coming.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate your time.
Okay. Thank you, Adam.